Hey guys, Daniel Vasi with Vasi Games. Today, I wanted to talk to you about one cool little thing that I do in class. It's not necessarily a game, but my students absolutely love it. And it's helped train my brain up a little bit too. So it's a little thing I like to call fact questions. Now, these aren't any ordinary fact questions. So let me show you what I mean. In order to illustrate this, I'm going to have to go back in time and tell you a story about how I met my beautiful wife. So back in the day, I went to this class that my church had, and I was actually looking to meet the girl of my dreams for probably about 10 years. I was waiting. And so I walk into this class, and I see this beautiful young lady sitting at this table, reading or doing something. I didn't even really want to be in the class, but as soon as I seen her, I was like, oh, shoot, Danny boy. This is not her. This is just a weird Google image. But I decided I would get some courage and go sit by her. Now, you got to understand me. I'm not a real social kind of person when it comes to, especially back in the day, talking to the opposite sex. So it took all the courage that I had. I had to muster it up. I was talking to myself, you can do this. You can do this. No, you can't. Yes, you can. And so finally, I got the courage. I walked over. I sat down next to her. I didn't say anything for about a good 10 seconds. And I'm thinking in my head, you got to say something, man. You can't just sit here. And then the other side of me is like, no, sitting here is fine. You did what you needed to do. If she wants to talk to you, she will. And finally, I got up the courage to say, hi. And she turned and she was like, hi. And she seemed so nice. And I was like, oh, shoot, continue the conversation, boy. And so the only thing I could get in my brain, it went totally blank. But I had a fact question left. Because at this point, I've been teaching for a couple years, and I had been doing these fact questions all the time. I had looked up odd, weird, crazy facts about just about everything you could think of in life to ask the students because I realized they really enjoyed it. And so I looked straight into her eyes, and I was like, hey, girl, I'm just kidding. I just said this fact question straight out. I said, do you know how much a male grizzly bear weighs? As you can imagine, that didn't go over too well. She looked at me and she was like, no. And that's all she said. And then turned back around. And I was like, okay, that's over. Good job. And so literally I thought that was the end of it. But I mean, as you can tell with this charm, that wasn't the end of it. Da, na, na, na. Hey, girl. Da, na, na, na. No, I'm just kidding. That had really nothing to do with me. Just a lot of praying. The crazy thing is this. I'll tell you this little quick story about myself. Believe it or not, she was actually kind of attracted to me. I'm not sure why, but I thought it was over. So I just went on with my life like day after day. A month later, some lady in the church came up to me and gave me her phone number and said, you better call this girl. And I was like, what the heck? Why would she want me to call her? And after we got married, she told me that she was actually dressing pretty. She worked in the little bookstore we had, and she was trying to get my attention, but I wouldn't wear my glasses. Now I wear contacts. She told me I had to get those when we got married so I could see her coming down the aisle. I could only see people like 15 feet away, and I only used my glasses to play video games. And so I didn't want to wear my glasses because I didn't think that I looked cool in them. So literally she would be dressing pretty and I couldn't see her. I'd be like 20 feet away and I couldn't see her and she just thought I was blowing her off. So I was the one playing hard to get. The deal is though, those fact questions, not only did they help me find my beautiful wife, they help me to this day in class. Now this is real simple. All you've got to do, Google 100 amazing facts. Google incredible, unbelievable facts. Something that has to do with facts, and a whole bunch of things are going to pop up. Now, the only thing you have to be careful with, that I learned the hard way, is not all these facts are facts. Some of them aren't true. So, for example, this is a picture of Marilyn Monroe's foot. One of the facts that I told my students for a good 3 to 4 years was that Marilyn Monroe had 6 toes on her one foot, because in this picture, it looks like she does. And so that fact circulates through a lot of these websites that have facts. The problem is when I actually looked a little more into it, one of the toes is just like a little clump of sand. It just looks like she has 6 toes. So you got to be careful about some of the facts. But of course, even if you tell kids Marilyn Monroe had 6 toes, it's not going to hurt. But the cool thing is this. How I use this in class is something like this. I do games where I'll say, okay, break up into teams, and I might ask math questions, substitute any content that you're using. So say you're teaching art or something like that, and you're asking about primary colors, and throw in some crazy facts questions into the mix. Throw in some crazy fact questions onto a quiz, just for little baby bonus points or just even for fun. The students actually really enjoy it, and the crazier they are, the better. What you're going to notice is, after you start doing these enough, you're going to get some crazy facts stuck in your brain. Now, a lot of times I do what I call Vasi topics, where I just say, give me a topic. The student will raise their hand. I take any general topic, and I can usually think of some fact out of just about any topic because I've done this enough, and because the topics repeat. So, for example, a student will almost always say basketball. And I've got so many basketball odds and ends, I don't even barely watch basketball. I mean, I play video game basketball games. If that makes me manly enough, but I can usually think of a fact because I've done them in the past or looked them up. So for example, I might say, which 5'7" basketball player could have been named after a potato? Think about that. So you can ask all these random questions and throw them into the mix. You can keep a little stash of candy, and once in a while in class just say, okay, random fact question. How much does a male grizzly bear weigh? And then a student will raise their hand, and you can say, you just got to be 50 pounds away. If they guess correct, throw them a piece of candy. It's going to spice things up. So make sure to check yourself. Check the facts. Don't just take anything on the internet. Abraham Lincoln said that on the internet. And so use something like this. If you were to write out every number, 1, 2, 3, etc., you wouldn't use the letter B until you reached, I'm not going to tell you. You got to think about it. Sorry. So look up some random facts, use them. Your students are going to love it. It's going to make you even smarter. And I'll talk to you next time. See ya.